All right, guys, we're back with the second part of building our little house in Blender. And you'll notice that my ground is shifted. And I just did that because I thought it looked a little boring when everything was facing the same direction. So all I did was in object mode, click on my ground, hit R, which allows us to rotate. But of course, if I just hit R, it goes everywhere. But if I hit R and then click the axis I want it to rotate on, which is the Z axis, then it'll spin on the Z axis. So I just did that to spin a little bit, and that's just because I thought it was cute, okay? But that's not why we're here. We're here to make a door now, all right? We need to start adding doors and windows. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to click off, and we're going to add a new cube, okay? Move this cube up using my move tool. Oopsies, I gotta turn something off that I have. There we go. Just getting him up. Okay, let's just get him kind of away from the house for a second. Okay, and then I'm gonna hit S, which is our scale tool, and I'm gonna scale it down a little bit. And something you might notice, if I'm trying to zoom in on this cube, it's just kind of a pain in the butt. I have to like click my little hand tool and move. So if you have an object selected that you just wanna work on that object, if you click on it, you can go to View, Frame Selected. And now my thing's locked on this cube, which is great because I'm going to make a door out of it. All right, we're going to hit S again, and we're going to hit Z right after to stretch it a little taller. And then we're going to hit S and Y because we're going to make it thinner so that it's more kind of like door sized. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so if you're me, I want to like add some pizzazz to this door. So I was looking up images of doors. They have like the kind of like little insets and details. So I'll show you how we do that. So let's go to the edit mode and all right, so we're using the edit mode. We're on face and we're clicking on this front face. And then what we're going to do is we're going to inset the face. So you can click the inset button, or if you're like me, I just hit I, which is the shortcut. And we're going to bring it in just a little bit, but you might notice that it's different on the top versus the bottom. All right. So you can go down here and kind of putz with the settings if you want. Sometimes I do that, but honestly, what I do most of the time is I just hit the S for scale, and then I just hit the Z axis to grow this a little bit so that it looks even on kind of all these edges there. Good. Okay. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hit E, which is extrude, but instead of extruding it and taking it outward, I'm going to hit extrude Y and kind of sink it a little bit. So now if I click off, it like gives it like a little bit of like an edge. Okay. And I'm not done yet because I want a pretty door. Okay. So back in edit mode, click on face, click on this interface now, and I'm going to hit I for inset again, and I'm going to bring it in a little bit. And then I'm going to hit S, Z to grow and fix those kind of the top and bottom parts that were too thick. There you go. Good. Okay. Okay, sweet. So I like that cut. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some loop cuts because I want to split this into like a top section, a middle section, and a bottom section. So I'm going to hit Control R. And there we see that it's got one loop cut, but I'm going to scroll just once to give 2 loop cuts. And then I'm going to click and then right click to release that. Okay, and now I am going. Okay, so now we're going to click, and I find the best way is to click one at a time. Click on, well, see, I say that, but let's see, maybe I'm lucky. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to hold down shift and click on the middle one and the bottom one. And I want to do inset again. So I'm going to click inset and drag, but you see what's happening, right? It's just mushing them all together. So I'm going to play with some of these settings to see if maybe it can, there we go. Look at that. Hit individual, and it did it. I'm so smart. And you can also mess with kind of depth here and some other stuff. I'm not going to worry about that too much because all I wanted is what it just did. I wanted those separate. That's perfect. Okay, so now I have little inside faces. I'm still going to click on them and hit SZ and stretch it out a little bit because I do want those to be kind of even. That's just me doing my perfectionist stuff. Good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these faces. Or maybe I grab the sides. It's kind of up to you, whatever you want. I think maybe I'll actually grab the kind of little edges I made here. And again, you can make whatever door you want, but I think like the more kind of like details you put on the door, the cooler it looks. So I'm going to grab these and then I'm going to hit E for extrude and I'm going to sink these a little bit. Ooh. So you can't really see it in this light, but when we add color and we put it in the scene, that's going to look real cool. All right. Okay. So this is a door now. So now how do I put it on the house? Okay. So this is the next step. So I'm going to move my door down a little bit. And what we're going to do, let me hide my controls, is we're going to go up here to our magnet. And what we're going to do is it was on grid before. We're going to click face. Okay. Closest. And we're going to turn this on. Okay. And now what that means is as we're moving this shape, he's going to try to smack onto a close face or a face that's near him. And because the house is kind of the biggest face near him or the front face of the house is, it snaps to it. You can see it. It just snapped to it. So I can just kind of scooch it down and make sure it's flush with the ground. There we go. And I might shimmy him a little bit. Kind of want him. I don't know where I want him. I don't know if I want him center to the tower. Yeah, why not? Okay, center the tower. Perfect. Okay. So you can choose, I'm not going to have my doors open or anything. So they're just kind of like for outside decoration. But if I want to make this sink a little bit, because that is a very thick door right now, I might turn off my magnet and grab my Y-axis and just kind of drag it in a little more. Okay. All right. So we have the door done now. So now it's a matter of making windows, which is basically the same process. Oh, first let's click on our door and make sure we name it. It's just a cube right now, but we're going to call it door. Good. Okay. Now let's click off and we are going to make a window. Now you could take your door and maybe kind of copy it, but I think it's easier just to make a brand new thing. So I'm going to go add cube. Same idea. Let's get it up and out of the way. And I'm going to hit select, or sorry, view, frame selected. So it snaps to that cube. And I'm going to hit S and scale it down. SY to kind of shrink him a little bit. So he's a little more window size. There you go. And SZ to stretch him a little bit. Okay. And so it's the same process. I'm making kind of the same actions I did when I did the door. So I'm going to go to edit mode and hit my flat face, click on the front of this, hit I to inset. Okay. And then I'm going to hit SZ to kind of stretch it a little bit so it fits. And then I'm going to hit E to extrude, but I'm going to move it so it actually goes backwards a little bit to create kind of like a frame right now. Okay. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hit Control R to make a loop cut. And I'm going to make a loop cut in the middle and I'm going to right click to release that. And then I'm going to hit Control R again. And I'm going to make a loop cut down the center and right click to release that. Okay. So this next part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click using my edge selection. I'm going to click on this cut and I'm going to hold down Shift and click on this cut, and this cut. So we've got these cuts selected. And now I am going to go to the loop cut actual button over here, and I'm going to click and hold and select the offset edge loop cut. So once that's on, then if I click and drag, yeah, I can offset it. And I think you might see where I'm going. I am trying to make the kind of like thick part of the like window bars. Okay. Ew, I don't want even. Even looks funny. Ooh. I kind of got to play with it a little bit. Maybe I like even. Maybe even could work for me. So play with these settings because you never know what's going to work for you or not. Okay, I actually think that's kind of cute, so I'm gonna keep that. Okay, and now what I do is you switch back to faces and I select, oops, click, edit. Oopsies, I gotta have my selection tool. There we go. Okay, click that face, hold down shift, that face, that face, that face, and then click E to extrude, bring them up a little bit. And I don't bring them all the way out. I want to like halfway. Sweet. But then I have this simple, cute, adorable little window. Okay. So again, if I want to put the window on the house, I'm going to click the window, make sure I hit G and move him around. And I always got to go back to view frame selected to snap it back because just moving things around, things get confusing. Okay, so remember to put it on the face, we're going to turn on the magnet that snaps it to the front of faces. So I'm moving it and I'm going to just smack it on the front of the house. There we go. And I hit Y to kind of flip it so I can see if it's even on the front of the house because I want it somewhat even. There we go. Okay, there's my little window. And I'm lazy, so I might just make copies of this window. So to make a copy, I'm going to actually hold down Shift and D. And then if I hit X, it moves a copy to the side. Okay, so Shift and D makes a copy, but then I hit the button of whatever axis I want it to follow, this new copy. So, okay, Shift D, X, move this copy over. He's trying to snap to my roof. I don't want him to snap to my roof. There. There we go. I might shrink these guys a little bit. They're kind of a little big. Ooh, I want to shrink them both to the same size. So I'm gonna click this guy. I'm gonna hold down Shift and click on this guy. And then I'm gonna click S to shrink them a little bit. There you go. And if the snapping's getting annoying, just turn it off. Okay, Control D, X, there we go. And I might move this one up a little bit more. And I kind of like that being the big window. Awesome. We got doors and windows. Now for putting them on the other sides of your house, again, make a copy. So I'm going to hold down Shift and D, and I'm going to click X to make a copy. Okay. And then what I want to do is I want to rotate this. Okay. So if we go over here to our panel, what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the, I always have to remind myself. There we go. The object properties. All right. And so we want to rotate this, and we want to rotate it on the Z axis. There we go. See, it's spinning, and we want to rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. He is 90 degrees. So that means I can smack him on this side of the house, and I'm going to turn my snapping back on so it snaps the way I want it to. Ooh. You can see snapping is very fun, but also can be incredibly annoying sometimes. There we go. Okay. Shift D, Y to move this other copy on this Y axis, and then this little guy, I'm going to go to the Z axis and I'm going to hit 90 again. Oopsies. Come on, buddy. Did you do what I want? No, he didn't. Try it again. Click on him. Oh, there we go. Oh, I don't want 90. I want 180. There we go. 180. Snap is on. Pop him where I want on the house. And then I'm just going to make a few more copies here. Shift D, X. Put that there. Move them up a little bit. Okay. Shift D, X. There we go. Okay, that's enough windows. They got plenty of light. All right, that is how you make windows. Okay, in the next video, we'll learn how to actually apply color to the house. And then if we want to add some other things like pebbles or even start to give the ground like some hills or depth, we'll do that as well. Okay.